Hello, hello.
Good morning or good afternoon. Where are we? Yeah, we're in the afternoon.
How's everyone? Can you guys hear me okay?
Absolutely.
Yes, yes, everything is good.
Good, 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 good.
Well, normally we are traveling and moving around the world. So, everyone, welcome to Financial Sins. Today, since I said we're always traveling and around the world, I am in Georgia today, out in Atlanta. And so, I've come out to talk with some agents in reference to getting insured or getting their license and stuff, and also to enjoy a fabulous, I don't want to call it a massage, but that's on the level of what everybody understands. I did this awesome massage with this lady that has the fingers of, fingers of God, man. She just went through.
I know it was
It
good.
must have been awesome.
It was amazing, and I think everyone ought to do it. But we'll talk about that some other time. So, Anthony, where are you today?
I am in Georgia. I'm actually in my office for a change. And it's good to be home, but I'll be right back on the road in a week or so. So uh it's just gonna be something. So
It's gonna be one of those busy
I'm
summers.
just gonna be traveling. So that's just how this business is, and I love it.
Yeah.
I love it.
It gives you that flexibility. So, Mad Flo, are you in Georgia, Massachusetts, Florida? Can't hear you, Flo. Can't hear you, Flo.
I get muted. Mad flow is stable in Savannah, Georgia right now, but does not mean I'm going to be uprooted and going somewhere else. Never know. Great thing about this, Mad flow is making a difference for others, just like I always do. So, you know what? I'm not crazy. A lot of people say I'm crazy, but I'm not crazy. I am just mad, truly mad about helping you to make a difference in your life on how do you make your money work hard for you. So that's what I do. Basically, help you learn how to make your money work hard for you through our free virtual workshop, financial workshop classes we have. And guess what? They're Monday through Friday, 2 p.m., 8 p.m., 10 p.m. You guys take advantage of that. Like I said, I could be uprooted at any time, but our virtual shows are always on for you to learn. And get with me later. I give you more information how to obtain that. Great day,
Wonderful,
guys. Looking forward to it.
wonderful, wonderful. You guys, I'm not traveling this weekend. I am in the beautiful Savannah, Georgia. It's been a great last week. I'm rested up this week, and just truly, truly excited about the show that we have today. There are things going on all over the country. Um, and hey, let's say even all over the world this weekend. We have Father's Day that's coming up on Sunday. So, to all the fathers out there who are listening, we want to send early happy Father's Day to all of the fathers and all those who serve as fathers. So happy Father's Day to all of you. What you do is amazing. What you do is incredible, and we want to thank all fathers for being that, just for being the best, absolutely, that you can be. Also happening around Savannah, around Georgia, nationwide, and across the world is Juneteenth. And we're so
Mhm.
excited about our show today, all things Juneteenth. It's quite a history lesson for us today. We have special guests who will be sharing their Juneteenth stories, giving us a piece of history, a piece of our history, and a piece of history that is woven into the fabric of this country. So we're excited to have that show. Any thoughts on Juneteenth, Mad Flow, or Anthony Murray about this exciting show that we have today?
Well, one thing I want to say is this, that, as of June 18th, 2021, President Joe Biden made it a federal holiday. So just think about that, a federal holiday. So this has really been a great, I think, a really great move and establishment that should have happened a long time ago. But now it is recognized as a federal holiday. So, Georgia, anyone in government, they get that day off. My husband was off today. I was kind of wondering, what was he doing home? I'm used to having a house to myself, and say, what is he doing home? He take off today because next Monday it's going to be a holiday. I said, ooh. So it's a federal holiday on the federal level. That is a great accomplishment, for what happened. But
that is a major
June 18, 2021, it was official. So that's a great thing that happened.
Now, when did he make it a federal holiday? Was it this year or last year?
Last year, June 18, 2021. Made it a federal holiday.
I thought so, but you still don't hear it talked about as it should be. Now, there's a lot of Juneteenth celebrations. As a matter of fact, I will be part of a Juneteenth celebration tomorrow. Oh, no, not tomorrow. What's today? Today, Friday? Yeah, tomorrow. And it's a business expo, but still, nevertheless, it's extremely important because we are celebrating something that should have taken place umpteen years ago. These celebrations should have been noted and acknowledged. But America is just coming around, just coming around. But I tell you what, still keep your guards up. Don't you relax your guard. Still keep your guards up. This is a very serious time that we're living in. Very serious time. Especially when people of color are starting to be recognized. Keep your guards up. This is a very serious time. Listen, Renetta, we have some guests coming on, right?
Yes, we do. We have Dr. Jamal Touré. We have the director of the Beach Institute coming on, and we also have a local historian, Dr. Patricia Stewart. They should all be entering the studio in just a few moments. You guys know so can you guys see them in the studio? From where I've joined today, I'm not able to allow anyone in the studio.
No, they're not in yet.
Okay, so if you guys will keep the conversation going, we will make sure that they have access to enter the studio.
Okay, let's give them some facts about Juneteenth. We got 10 facts. So we'll share these facts as we go along. Okay, let's go with fact number 1. Following the issuing of the Emancipation Proclamation on January 1 in 1863 by Lincoln, not all enslaved people immediately found freedom. So that's something we need to look at right then and there. The Emancipation Proclamation freed slaves in states then in rebellion against the United States. Union troops operating in said states gave teeth to the proclamation. This, however, did not apply to the border states. So not all people, enslaved people, were freed on that date in January 1 of 1863. So that's one fact we want to look at right there. And then we got 10 facts we're going to cover with you and let you, just get some information maybe you didn't hear before, didn't know it, but you're going to learn some great facts about Juneteenth that we're going to be sharing periodically through the show today. So, Anthony, anything to share with that?
I was muted. Oh, I'm sorry about that. Yeah, I was just reading something. I just wanted to read it to you guys. It's very interesting. And June 19th, 1865, is a day of signifying freedom. General Granger and federal troops arrived in Galveston, Texas, with the federal order signaling independence for all enslaved Texan people. Despite the Emancipation Proclamation and the end of the Civil War, Texas was the last Confederate state where enslavement continued. Since Texas was the most remote state in the Confederacy, the troops' arrival came a full 2.5 years after the Emancipation Proclamation. After, so Juneteenth is a very important holiday. When the news finally spread, celebrations broke out around the newly freed, and Juneteenth was born. The following year, freedmen in Texas organized celebrations. So the following year, they organized celebrations on June 19th. All right. So these celebrations featured music, barbecues, prayer services, and a variety of activities. As people started to migrate from Texas, so did the festivities that would continue over decades to come. And now it's gone global. Yeah, you heard me right. It's gone global. All right. So this is extremely, extremely important. Extremely important. But you know what's even just as important as that? You are not free until you are financially free. And that's why we have this podcast, Financial Sense. That's why this podcast is here. So, ladies and gentlemen, I encourage you, get your friends, your relatives, get everybody on this podcast today, because we have a lot of information that we're going to condense into these next 50 minutes or 55 minutes or so.
And listen to this, Anthony. Fact number 3. And this right here is critical. You guys have to listen to this one. Pay attention, because part of General Order number 3 encouraged the newly freed people to remain with their owners.
Wow.
The freedmen are advised to remain quietly at their present homes and work for wages. They are informed that they will not be allowed to collect at military posts, and that they will not be supported in idleness either there or elsewhere. So listen to that. They're granted freedom, but quietly they want to whisper to you, hey, you do better if you stay with your, with your masters. It's hard out there. You're not going to survive out there. You can't make it out there on your own. So, they're whispering, giving you freedom, but whispering in your ear, stay in a safe place, stay in your comfort zone. And is that a comfort zone to be in slavery? No, it isn't. But they're trying to, basically what they're trying to do based on that order right there is just, play on people's mind at the time. And unfortunately, a lot of freed slaves, they did do that. They remained with their masters because that's all they knew. They were not educated. They didn't know how to read. They didn't know how to count. They didn't know how to, suffice for themselves. They weren't independent. They were always dependent on someone else, their masters. And some of them probably thought it's better to be somewhere where I got a roof over my head, food to eat, than to go out there and not have anything.
Yeah, there was a lot of intimidation going on.
Yeah.
There was a lot of intimidation, there was more lynchings and more murders, more rapes, and more everything. There was a lot of intimidations going on. All right. I want to read this right here, ways to celebrate Juneteenth. And one of our guests is getting ready to come on. There are many big and small ways to commemorate Juneteenth. Here are a few ideas on how to celebrate and honor this holiday. Host a barbecue and cook some traditional foods. That's one way. Attend a prayer service or parade in your community. Well, that's good too. Support Black-owned businesses. Put a big star next to that one.
Yes, absolutely.
Educate yourself and reflect on the meaning of freedom. Another way, watch Juneteenth events online, visit an exhibit or museum dedicated to Black culture, volunteer for a local organization supporting human dignity. Let me tell you what I like to see. You know, on the 4th of July, they have all these huge parades. What I like to see is a huge Juneteenth parade with massive floats, massive decorations, just massive on a scale uh, of enormous, large, gigantic. I don't know any other way to say it. You know, we need to celebrate this holiday on a serious level. If we can celebrate whatever it's called, 4th of July, we can celebrate Juneteenth the same way.
Absolutely. We have a guest I'm bringing into our program right now, and that is Dr. Pat Stewart. Hello, can you hear us well?
Yes, I can. Can you hear
Great.
me?
Yes, we absolutely can. Thank you so much, Dr. Stewart, for agreeing to come on our show and share your knowledge of Juneteenth, what it means to the community. You're such a great historian and storyteller of what feels good and what is important to our souls and to our spirit. So we are excited to have you as a guest on our show today.
Well, thank you. I am really a storyteller because there's so many uncertainties in my life, and all of a sudden they come full focus, and it's like, wow, where has that been? And that's part of my Juneteenth story. Short story is that after a long wondering about who my parents were and where they came from, in the 1900 census, I found my father, who between him and my mother had created about 4 different places in the world where he was born, including the West Indies. And all of a sudden it showed up that he was born in Bibb County, but he had always gone back to Texas to visit people he called his siblings. I also found out there was nothing in any census that connected him to being their siblings. And they had a real long list of being siblings. What I found out was that my father and his father had the same names. I got this doing some work at the Mormon Center and what they found out is that somewhere in Georgia, prior to emancipation and prior to Juneteenth, there was a white man who had the same name that my father and his father had. So what that led me to think about was that how my grandfather was born before the Emancipation Proclamation. So that means until 1870, he had no official recognition by name, first name, last name, anywhere. So now you got 3 people with the same first name and different spellings of the last name, and one is a white man. I talked to somebody, and even in the books that I've read here, that Savannah and Georgia were one of the biggest,
Different this time, right?
biggest sellers and buyers of enslaved people of any of the states. Mm-hmm. So what happened, the people in Texas had probably been sold from Georgia to Texas. Mm-hmm. So that's my connection of wonder about why do I have a Texas connection? What I also then found out is that all those people in Texas, there's a large group of them, and they then have not ever spoken to me about any story of freedom or emancipation. I found one of them directly. Her grandfather is the man that is named for my father. And so I found it so strange in the way they see the world, because the first thing she said to me her grandfather had 4 other brothers. And she said, was your father like all the other brothers? I mean, like his nephews or first cousins. They were first cousins. And I said, what do you mean? She said, well, they weren't, they were men who had a lot of different women and they weren't always present and available. I said, well, no, I didn't see that side. So she's got a whole different story about Texas and the Black people in Texas, which is a story that is full of uncertainties because she doesn't reveal it. So here I am all of a sudden last year watching some things that Annette, the woman who wrote the book, Juneteenth, we put it out last year. So my sense of Juneteenth coming from the North was, Juneteenth rather, was not one that was in the front of my mind or anything that we did. And so I had to come to Georgia to get this sense of what it means and what it's all about in terms of how many different ways people in Georgia do Juneteenth versus what happens in Texas. And it's such a historical moment for us to also understand what they did in Texas also was fused by the other cultural pieces of Texas, which were from Mexico and from the Black indigenous population. And what we have an opportunity to do, and I love the remark about the biggest parade we could put on here, it would, and bring everybody to the street.
Absolutely.
And in some ways, that can be a challenge for the next Juneteenth, is that everybody who has representation from what it was in Texas, including the sense of freedom, because emancipation and freedom for me are two different things.
Mm-hmm.
And we must bring all of our rituals and all of our stories and all of our food ways and take over the streets to do that, and not let it be determined by government or anybody else, because the streets are ours.
Absolutely. Absolutely. We also have, and just to interrupt for a moment, we have another guest who has joined, and that is Mr. Jonathan Winbush, who is the general manager of the Beach Institute. We had the pleasure
Hi,
of
Jonathan.
meeting and talking with him a few days ago, and just had a lovely time visiting the Beach Institute. So we're going to ask him also to come on in. I see Dr. Stewart is waving hello to you. We're so excited to have you join our show today as well to share, Juneteenth, your experience, what it means to this community, and any additional information that you would like to share. Mr. Winbush, hello and welcome to our show today.
Yes, indeed. Thank you for having me. A little late because of some technical difficulties, right?
Yes, we had some technical
Can you hear me okay?
Yes, we can absolutely hear you fine. Yes, we have some technical difficulties, but we're going to keep moving because nothing stops us. So you go ahead,
Right
sir.
on. So I'm supposed to be freezing up like this? I look like I'm freezing up as
you
I'm
are,
talking,
but just
so.
keep on. We can hear you well.
Okay. That's what I want to know.
Yes.
Yes, I'm enjoying the discussion from what I'm hearing so far. And welcome, everybody. Thank you all for having me. Jonathan Winbush, Institute, Tisdale Cottage Foundation. So I have two museums, King Cottage and the Institute. I've been here for about a year now, and really working hard to build up now in this time period, post-COVID. I think we can kind of call it maybe post-COVID, if that's safe enough to say, and kind of bring life back to the Beach Institute. Yeah. Yes, we hope so. Indeed. I do want to hit on this theme of I heard Pat Stewart about this, the difference between freedom and emancipation. And I think this concept of freedom has been is a natural thing. As someone has said a long time ago, freedom is the natural state of humanity, and anything against that freedom is unnatural and inhumane. So you have this concept of freedom that is already existing. It's kind of like the air; it's already there.
Yes.
But this concept of emancipation is of others holding us and them come to some point of allowing us to breathe free. And I think that we have to clarify that when we talk about this whole concept of Juneteenth. Um, it really is. There have been many celebrations around Juneteenth over the decades. It was more prevalent in other places, and it also was at different times. Excuse me. So as the knowledge or information continued to move across the South, Alabama, Mississippi, Louisiana, Texas, finally. And I also think that part of that was a delay was for the growing season as well. But because took so long. But I think we need to is about an emancipation process that's really not about freedom, because our freedom is something that already exists.
Absolutely, absolutely. And Jonathan, are you talking still?
He's frozen.
You're frozen. You're frozen.
No. I put a period on that.
Yes. And I received something from Dr. Stewart. And I just wanted to talk a little bit about that. We have some pictures and other things that we can show. Dr. Torre, how are you?
Doing fine. The funeral, the homegoing service was a little longer than what we had planned.
Well, that's okay. We're excited to have you on as well to share. And we know that you are a valued historian in our community as well, and very active in Juneteenth conversation. The celebrations, making sure that we understand the importance of Juneteenth to our community, and you spread the message to others as well. So we are excited to have you as a guest on our show today to please share your experiences, the history of Juneteenth. Why is Juneteenth so important to our community, and what can we do? So I'm giving you a lot, right? And what can we do to continue to honor Juneteenth as a community, and to be sure, because we know it's a national holiday now, but to be sure that we're doing our part to keep our tradition and understand our tradition.
Yeah, it's a lot, but
yes,
but it can be handled. Just to share this with you all. And when we talk about Juneteenth, and people need to understand, make sure we always clear that it's something in Texas. But what happened, African people in other parts of the United States always had their emancipation celebrations. But what occurred, we stopped talking, stopped doing it, and putting it out there. Now, Savannah's been unique. Savannah's always held an emancipation program on January 1st. So they've always done that. But the oldest independence liberation celebration in the United States is up actually in Thomaston, Georgia, going back to 1866, done in Upton County. And in fact, African people around the entire state of Georgia used to go there. They talk about the Central Georgia Railroad having a car specifically designed to go to Upton County or Thomaston, Georgia, and they still celebrate the day. They basically focus on the Saturday closest to May 29th. So you have, like in Florida, they used to celebrate May 20th. So with regard to that, everyone has always been focused on making sure we understand about freedom. And so collectively, people not going to focus on Juneteenth. And I'm like, that's all fine, that's all good. But do not give up your own story, because that's what happens in some cases, and we become disconnected. Why is Juneteenth important? Because I have to go back to the very the very point of your show that y'all have financial literacy. That what happens long before we know a Juneteenth, there's someone in Savannah, Georgia, and y'all continue that legacy of that person. Garrison Frazier, Reverend Garrison Frazier. People, some people know about Reverend Frazier, but most people don't know about him. And that he did something and said something about black people when they get their freedom. Frazier is one of those ministers of Sherman in Savannah. And so we so often talk about General Sherman, about special field order number 15, 40 acres and a mule. And we always go and reference Sherman. I tell folks, Sherman was not the one who came with the concept. It was right. Garrison Frazier. Frazier was the one who told Sherman, how can you expect the man who's gotten wealthy off of us to treat us as equals? He said it's going to take years to correct. He said we must have land. We must have land so the old men will work it, the women will work it, and the children will work it. He said the young men will send to fight in the war. What he is not pressing upon Sherman, that listen here, this war is no longer about just having freedom, but it's about having land. Because he also told Sherman, as he said, that we'll be able to take care of ourselves and have a surplus. And I said to people, what did he mean by having a surplus? That meant that we will be able to engage in business. So now people began to realize that this war is no longer about having freedom. It's about economic opportunity, independence, and autonomy. So with regard to the show that you all do, that's what you all doing for us right now. That's the same legacy of Garrison Frazier. And actually, that same thought that Garrison Frazier had in 1865 in Savannah, that's the same thought that King will not have 103 years later, again in 1968. That's where King is at. So I tell folks, guess what? For us, that's why I say I ain't giving up none of my legacy. That yes, I'll celebrate Juneteenth, but I'm gonna also show people that in Savannah, we were looking at January 1st and also in April, and we will understand that this ain't just about having no freedom. This is about economic opportunity and economic power. And that's our story here. And so that's why if you're gonna look at it, we talk about land right here in Savannah. We have one of the oldest pieces of property owned by black folks in all of North America. And that is historic First Bryan Baptist Church. That has been in black hands since the 1790s. We talking about the Caribbean, Mexico, U.S. and Canada. Guess what? We got one of those pieces of property owned by black folks in this entire country, going back to the 1700s. And that's the legacy of our people here. And that's the legacy of freedom for us. That freedom is not just the freedom of the physical, but it's freedom with regard to the mind, the heart, the soul, and the economic and your pockets.
Absolutely. That brings us to Mr. Winbush. You know, there's an exhibit at the Beach Institute, and correct us if it's wrong, the color of money. You know, and talk a little bit about that exhibit.
The Color of Money is an exhibit that's going on at the Beach Institute. It's actually been open since April 23rd. And it's through July 11. And it's artistry of John W. Jones. He's an artist, self-made artist out of Columbia, South Carolina. And what he has done is taken the Confederate dollars, it's blown them up about 20 assignment, and he identified this were black on the currency. Well, he went on and did further research and realized during the Civil War in the Confederacy, each created their own currency, and all 11 states printed money, and they all had of whether it be rice, sugar, tobacco, on and on and on, all of the different, as well as some activities that were going on among neighbors. Is of course time propaganda, and of course this was real propaganda for the South, because they intended for the black people to actually continue to be the economic engine of the Confederacy. In fact, the black people were called the cornerstone of this new called the Confederate States of America. But they are to highlight the fact that we were their wealth. We were of their wealth and their economy and their society. You also, we're in this time period now where we're looking at Maya Angelou on the quarter, and eventually Harriet Tubman on the 20. But Black people have been on American currency since 1820. Again, signifying that we in fact were the money. That's really the concept about this exhibit, is to expose that in an evocative way, but also we have the exhibit here to begin to have discussions around financial literacy and financial operations. And how do we create a system of our own that is self-sustaining, self-sufficient, eventually get out of this kind of craziness of this hamster wheel we sometimes find ourselves in these different things. The world is currency exchange is changing. They have crypto, all sorts of things, those things. But July 11th, and please come by the Beach Institute, 502 East Harris Street, and see what we're doing here with respect to that.
Thank you, thank you. Back to Dr. Torre. So, we talk about how, how important it is to the economy. And, Mr. Winbush also talked about, again, how we were, the currency. How do you think that idea plays into today and into our understanding, like you said, of making sure that we have our place and understand our place in regards to Juneteenth and in regard to our community?
I don't know why you trying to do me like. I don't know why you trying to do me like that. Your people might not like what I'm going to say, but I'll share this with y'all. People who do my journeys, who do my tours, this is what they get. They hear this right here. And just to give an example, some of that, how does it come into play today? Just to give you an example.
Yes, sir.
I discussed in Savannah when we're down in the city market area, and I talk about the marts that are down in marts, MARTS.
Yes.
That there were Negro marts in Savannah, and not just Savannah, across the entire country. They had Negro marts. People think about auction blocks. I said that's exotic stuff. We're more sophisticated. They have Negro marts, and that when you're in the city market area of Savannah, you have attorneys, banks, brokers, notaries, and speculators that are there in that area. And I tell folks, I said that in 1862, attorneys, banks, brokers, and notaries made $2 million, 1862 terms, off of the selling of human beings, of Africans. That's $2 million, 1862 terms, which in today's term at $53 million in today's terms. And that's between the banks, the brokers, and notaries. That's not the other sundry businesses that also tied to it. And that when we look at on Bryan Street, on Barnett Street, Barnett and Bryan, that you have what are called Negro brokers and Negro speculators involved in the business of speculating on Africans. So I tell people the wealth of the United States is tied to Africans, not about what they grow, but to being human assets. And then we're going to take it to another level. We go off on Bull Street, and that there you have a place that is a bank on one level of the building. Second floor, they have a broker business on the second floor, and in the back of the building, they have 2 yards in the back of the building. And they're not front yards, back yards, neighbor yards, and lumber yards. They're called Negro yards, where they stockpile Negroes. And so, and that's on Bay Lane. Just to let y'all know this, on Bay Lane, there were 20 Negro yards on Bay Lane. And when you want to purchase Africans, you don't pay the full price. You put 1/3 down as a down payment, then take out a mortgage on the rest. And if
a mortgage on the rest.
A mortgage on the rest. And as I share, folks, and if you fail to pay the mortgage, what happens?
They got repoed, huh?
That's right. Repossession or foreclosure.
Right. Wait, on slaves?
Yes. Yes. Yes.
So they were mortgaging, they were selling slaves like they were selling houses.
Yes. Donald said yes. Donald said the very topic. I mean, the very thing that you all do. This what that's
lay it on us, brother.
It is relevant that again, and you repossess those Africans, but not only that, you also repossess any issue. Who's the issue? Any children that were born. You get the children also. And you could get a line of credit on purchasing Africans. In June 2018, I had a sister with me on the journey, and she was out of Charlotte. When I said this, and she was a bank, she said, Jamal, that's like an equity line. I said, that's right. And I said, the wealth of the United States is tied to Africans, not about what they grow, not about no labor. It's about who they are, human assets. So everything that we see right now today in this country right here is tied to African people, and that's not even going to what we call the Industrial Revolution. It is tied to us. So, my sister, when you said that, everything here is tied to us. And what we don't understand how to articulate that and put that forward so people now understand. So when we begin to speak, I tell folks, guess what? We're not speaking at like as a beg at the table. We should speak as the head of the table because we are the reason why the United States has the wealth that it has today.
We are the table.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
In other words, we're the ones that formed the circle around the table.
We make it. That's right. We are the reason why it even exists, no matter how it might seem ugly to other people. But guess what? That is the truth. And people don't want to acknowledge it because they understand. When we begin to understand that, then guess what? We ain't talking about no free labor anymore. We talking about the entire system that it goes to the money. That's right. African people have been the currency of this nation. That, in fact, Southerners were generally more wealthy than people in the North because even if they had 3 people held in captivity, that still gave them more wealth than other people in the North. So financial literacy, again, we talk about financial power. It is tied to us, and that's why all this right here is coupled together. It is not anything distinct. It is interwoven together.
Jonathan, jump in.
Jonathan, go ahead.
I just want to say the main point. You could have a cotton plantation or a rice plantation that may have lost money. Maybe the freshet came in and ruined the crop. Salt water got into the rice fields and damaged the crop. You could take a loss on that side. But if 20 babies were born in that same year or same time period, you could open up a line of credit, cover your expenses. So that's exactly right. The very human beings themselves were, in fact, commodities of currency. Were what do they call it in banks? Products, banking products, and different ways you could monetize the human being.
Yeah, they were collateral.
I said, folks, I said that our answers
You about to say?
Our answers were human assets and human machines. Human assets and human machines.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely, absolutely. So, Dr. Stewart, I said that you're back up. So, from a soul and spirit aspect, how do we begin, or do we begin to even reconcile, what's happened? I mean, we've been given, right? And some people may think that it's been gifted, right? This holiday, right? This Juneteenth holiday, that it's been gifted to us. So from a soul and spirit aspect, how do we, really, how do we reconcile that based on the conversations that we've had today? How do we reflect? What can we do? You on mute. Come off mute.
You're talking particularly to Pat? Okay, go ahead. Mm-hmm.
Well, no, just her first, and of course we want to hear from our other guests.
Yeah.
So we can hear you now.
I see her.
Uh-oh, we lost her. We lost her volume.
We lost your volume. Let's see.
My mic is supposed to be open. Can you hear me?
Okay, there you are.
No.
We can hear you.
Yeah, we can hear you.
A little scratchy.
We can hear you. Go ahead.
Uh-oh, we lost you again. I tell you what, why don't we go to Jonathan first, then come back to Pat?
Yes, go ahead, and we'll come back.
I just want to say about Juneteenth. It should be all of our holidays and holy days, our holidays and holy days, and how we celebrate them should be the baseline. You have people saying, "Oh, that's unnecessary to celebrate." Others saying, "Oh, we should go all out with it." But I think all of our holidays should be points of remembrance, whether it be Juneteenth, whether it be Memorial Day, whether it be Kwanzaa, all accentuate of those things that or have an adverse effect on us. Like, should we be even talking about Columbus Day, which they're changing now, the name, our understanding of Thanksgiving, the commercialization of Christmas, all of these things culturally we should be pulling out of, and we should be accentuating our holidays, our holy days, our festivals, and coming up with our own ways of doing so, without permission, without sanction, and without permission from someone else. It was really strange, though, that the entire U.S. Congress voted unanimously, or certainly the Senate unanimously, for this holiday. But we can't get other things that we so importantly need in our society for our people.
Absolutely, absolutely. And that's why I phrased it the way that I did. Dr. Torrey, your thoughts?
Well, I'm sure, folks, that, and this goes back in time to my professor at Savannah State University,
Yeah.
Dr. Haynes Walton Jr. And Dr. Haynes Walton taught us something. He taught us that something about something called symbolic victories, intangible victories. He said what they will often do to us, they will give us symbolic victories. And that will cause some of us to justify and run with it, but then we don't get the tangible victories. So even with Juneteenth being signed off last year, I tell folks, I said, guess what? In the same Senate, we had something they called the George Floyd Policing Act, something that was necessary for us, which is that will be a tangible victory for us, but we can't get that, but we can get a symbolic victory. And going to Brother Jonathan say about with regards to we changing the narrative and we defining the narratives with regards to our own story. And just to through, I had a conversation with one of my scholars yesterday, and I shared with them about December 25th. Now, some people think that, and especially I'm just throwing out the Black folks right now, we get caught up to Christmas. Christmas is our thing. That's the family guy. We always had Christmas, and people tell us about Christmas. And we're going to say, but not realizing that Christmas was a recent phenomenon. People didn't always celebrate Christmas in the 1800s or in the 1700s. It wasn't a holiday.
Right.
But December 25th, for some African people in the coastal areas here, it was a holiday, December 25th. And I mess with people. I say, you know about December 25th? And people are like, look, I say it's called John Canoe. And in the northern part of the Gullah Geechee area, in Wilmington, North Carolina, Edenton, Beaufort, they will heavily celebrate John Canoe. Now, people from the Caribbean say, wait a minute, we do John Canoe there. I'm like, People in Central America say, we do John Canoe. John Canoe was a celebration that was done by our people, going to what Jonathan was saying, that our people did that preceded something we know is Christmas. And that they talk about that was the holiday, because what happened, they did on John Canoe, they are able to engage in some satire of Caucasians, but then also seek to get some money from, again, at least get some resources for themselves, but then also to pay homage to family members that they lost during that year. Those who had been sold away, taken away, stripped from them, that they were able to pay homage during that day. But guess what? We didn't get twisted because somebody else now tells us about Christmas. We get solely caught up into it, and we tend to miss out on these stories and not understanding that for us, it was about us defining ourselves and having major power with regard to our own dignity. And then, like I said, they threw in an economic component to it also. And so that's what we have to get back to. So even with Juneteenth, I tell folks, right now in 2022, I say the best way to celebrate Juneteenth right now, especially in certain states, is for you to vote in the runoff elections on June 22nd. The best way to celebrate Juneteenth is celebrate it on June 22nd in some of the states who have runoffs. That's my thoughts. So like in Georgia, the best way to celebrate it, June 22nd, because they don't think some of us going to come back out to vote. So we need to do that.
Absolutely, absolutely. And as we see a comment from one of our viewers, Pam Jones, she said, we are still the currency. Food stamps, public housing, Medicaid, prison, money that passes through these institutions by way of human beings.
Yeah. Hey, listen, we got to get ready to wrap up here, but just some last minute thoughts as we conclude this. One, we know that Christmas, when we celebrate Christ, we're born next to December. It was born during the warm months. So, so Christmas came from the Europeans really not celebrated or instituted as a real holiday till the early 1900s. So we know that's a force, but it still doesn't demean or take away the purpose of celebrating Christ, which we should every day. But now let's go back to Juneteenth and the importance of it and the activities that we have going on around the city, around the state. can you guys mention any activities that you know of that people can participate in this weekend? That people can participate in
At 4 p.m. today at the Georgia Southern.
I was just showing we have an event in Pooler. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, I was saying 4 p.m. the Georgia Southern Gullah Teacher Center will have.
Go ahead. Somebody else.
I was again the Georgia Southern Gullah Teacher Center at 4 p.m. today will be having its Juneteenth program here, and then at 6 p.m. at the Owen Thomas House they're going to be doing a tour and it's tied to their Juneteenth celebration. And tomorrow at 12 o'clock at the Jepson Center they also will be doing the Juneteenth program there. That will be doing a libation and also a full program there at the Jepson Center. That is free for everyone. In Bluffton, they have Juneteenth programs going on today, tomorrow, and Sunday in Bluffton, South Carolina at Burnt Church Road Distillery. Sunday, there's a Juneteenth celebration also going on in Daffin Park, and they also doing it on Saturday. Mary Magdalene will do this Juneteenth celebration on Saturday, also Wells Park, 38th Street Park. And then in Darien, Georgia, there'll be a Juneteenth celebration done by the McIntosh County Shouters. So that's just some of the ones, just to let you know.
Thank you. Mr. Winbush, anything happening at the Beach Institute or the King Tisdale Cottage this weekend?
Well, we will have at the Beach Institute
Oh, you're breaking up.
Yeah.
East Harris Street. We're open noon to 5 today, Saturday and Sunday will be open. We have a family coming from the region. They're doing their family reunion here this weekend, so we'll be busy with that. And then on Sunday in Pooler, from noon to 5, we're going to be out at Tanger Mall, however you say it, Tanger Mall. Ricky Temple's going to be there. Lillian Grant Baptiste, Kim Gusby will be there. Magic Market, many people out there in Pooler from noon to 5 outlet mall, and so that's where I'll certainly be. I'm speaking about 12:30 myself, and
Wonderful.
Of course we'll be back here engaging in tours and discussions.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
Yep.
So we'd like to thank our guests.
By the way.
Yes, absolutely. We want to thank our guest for today. I just found something in closing, and it says, this Juneteenth, I'm finding it hard to celebrate. It's hard to reflect on freedom in this deafening swell of discord, this crescendo of thoughts to our most basic human and civil rights. It's hard to stand upright in the storm of unending violence, to find footing on the ground riven by such deep and jagged divisions. It's hard in such darkness to believe in the dawn of a better day. So we're going to thank our guest for joining us. You know, this Juneteenth celebration and discussion is powerful. And we have to keep these types of discussions alive. You know, and so thank you to our guests for joining us in this conversation, in this discussion, to keep this alive so that we continue to understand, as you said, that it is our celebration, you know, and that we are responsible for moving our celebration in the direction. Dr. Torre, Mr. Winbush, Dr. Stewart, thank you for joining in our discussion. I am Renetta Milner Gardner, and as I always say, make it a great day. Find a celebration this weekend to participate in.
My name is Anthony Murray. I want to thank you guys so much for being with us today, our guests, and thank you all for participating in this Juneteenth discussion and celebration. You know, we got to keep this thing flowing. Let's keep moving forward and take ownership of land. Get it while it's hot, because the price is going to start dropping as these rates are going up. Thank you for being with us today. Matt Flo?
Hey, thank you very much for being on the show today. You're awesome. I mean, I learned so much, and thank you for the Black history stories that we're learning. This is Mad Flo. I'm not crazy, but I am making a difference for life and others. And I'm just mad about helping you and educating you on how to make your money work hard for you. That's Mad Flow in the house.
Thank you. You guys enjoy celebrations this weekend.
Same to you.
Thank you for joining.
Thank you.
To hear back from Pat. Maybe next time.
I like that.